Welcome to It's All About Connection, NVC with Dr. B.
We are very close to the holidays.
Happy holidays. Happy holidays.
Didn't know you were going to break into song, but I think it's a nice addition.
La, 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 la. 'Tis the season, 'tis the season, 'tis the season.
Is that your
to
own
be
personal
jolly.
customized song?
Yes, it is. Trying to be neutral, trying to lead us into 'tis the season to be peaceful. That's what this is all about, right? This very peaceful season.
It is. Everyone finds this season peaceful. We all have a
Everyone.
great time. It's easy. There's flow. There's connection.
hmm Everything just happens naturally in terms of that peaceful flow. So we don't even really need to have this episode because the world's got it down.
Yeah, everything's great. Nothing is falling apart.
All right, Heather and her sarcasm. What are we doing here today, Heather?
I think we're talking about some tips for people to use when they get a little
Edgy,
frustrated or upset or edgy around this time.
right? It's supposed to be this really great time, but truth be told, it's not that way for everyone all the time. When we get out of our routines, when we're around family maybe that we haven't been around in a long time, or maybe we're not around family, we want to be around family. There's all kinds of things that can happen during this holiday season. And yeah, I just thought it would be fun to talk a little bit about what are some of the things that people can do via NVC to support themselves to have more internal peace and maybe even external peace during this holiday season. And I don't know what those are. I thought it would just be fun to have them organically just float to the top of our minds as to like what would be some of the things we would recommend. So, you
I
have
would
any?
say I would say slowing down, just umbrella kind of suggestion, slowing down and checking in with your needs.
So, can you share a little bit more about what that actually looks like? What is the process? You're at a
Maybe
family dinner. Your Uncle Johnny just said some shit that that really pisses you off. What do you do?
slow down before reacting,
Taking a breath?
taking a breath, maybe taking some space, going into wait, which is what am I thinking? Or wait,
Why am
why
I
am I
talking?
talking? What am I thinking? So just slowing everything down because around this time, things can speed up very quickly.
Mhm. Yeah, so slowing down, and when you say getting connected, you're just saying, like, noticing what's going on with you internally without having to respond yet, but maybe even shifting quickly, if you can, to, "Okay, what's the need?" So some quick emergency self-empathy is what I think I'm hearing is maybe tip number 1, to always
Yeah.
kinda keep that in your back pocket. So because in those moments, we tend to forget completely. I still do, right? We tend to forget completely to grab onto the needs and the presence. Our knee-jerk response is to say something back or shut down rather than just going into a place of breathing and being with the aliveness of that moment and letting it have its presence without necessarily having to act.
Yeah. Presence is another big one. Speaking
Can
of
I
which,
ask you, what do you think that does for people to be able to do that?
to slow down and really be with whatever's going on.
Yes. What do you think? What's the advantage of that?
I think it allows you to tap into your needs and your feelings and possibly what's going on for other people. Essentially, it is just slowing things down and allowing you to get self connected.
Right. So you can then if you do need to speak or you decide to make to say something, you can speak from that place instead of just speaking. Oftentimes what happens is get
We
you know,
jackal.
we jackal. We'll say something that's a judgment or blame back to that person, and that just kind of keeps you in this loop that you can't break out of, and things can really digress very, very quickly.
Yeah.
So
I think that's why, like, yeah, the overarching theme of the tips can be slowing down. I think slowing
yeah,
down really gives room for the many facets of the process.
yeah, that's good, Heather. I appreciate that. What's another tip? I I had a thought that if you know that you're going to be around people that are oftentimes bring out some trigger some difficult emotions for you or that say things that you don't enjoy, you probably already know what a lot of those things are. And you might want to actually get some empathy before going into your dinner or your vacation. Like get some empathy, like so kind of load up on empathy, like get resourced on empathy. Go get a friend that knows the empathy process, or if even if you have nobody in your life that knows the empathy process, you can give them the feelings and needs sheet and say, hey, can you just listen for a little bit and help me figure out what my needs are before going into this dinner, because I just want to be resourced in that way. So you can get some empathy before you ever even step into a difficult circumstance, and that
So
I have
having that kind
found,
of preparation.
yeah, it gives you a little preparation. It helps you to be a little bit more resourced internally around it, so that maybe the intensity is not as intense when you get there. The other thing you could do is you can practice. Like you can practice someone actually saying or doing some of those intense things to you that know, like most people know who their main triggers are, especially in their family. They know the things that they do to them ahead of time. So you can have someone do those triggers to you and then breathe, slow down, like Heather said, practice actually breathing and getting connected with your needs and doing that a few times so that again, it's not to say that it will keep it from happening or keep you from having a charge, but hopefully it's less than it will be less than what you would have had just going into it without getting some prep time.
So would that be similar to enemy image process?
No, I think my teacher, John Kenyon, he calls it intensity practice, where you basically um, you practice the intensity that you know is going to come your way, and you practice up on it. And by doing it, again, you're processing it a little bit ahead of time, so it doesn't have near the impact that it typically would when you're in it.
Yeah. I
That's
haven't even heard
another.
of that.
Really? Wow, Heather, I can't believe that I could say something new to you.
Is that a
Interesting.
pretty commonplace
No, I mean, I
or
think there are
practice?
probably some NVC people that do it. I think it really came from John Kenyon was the one. I could be wrong about that, but I know I learned it from him. Um, so yeah, and sometimes we do it in empathy gym. Sometimes we will practice intensity. And what else? Any other tips?
We kind of touched on presence, I guess. Maybe kind of expanding upon weight, like
Meaning,
removing yourself. You know, you can slow down, you can do intensity practice, but if you are so triggered in that moment, you can go into weight.
right. But if you do, I do recommend for people to verbalize that's what they're doing,
Mhm.
because otherwise it can be misinterpreted as giving someone the silent treatment or shutting down. So, rather than just removing yourself, you can say, right now I'm noticing that I can't respond in a way that's going to lead towards connection with us, and I care about you so much and I really want to make sure that we have connection. So I'm just going to give myself a little bit of space right now and work on myself so I can step back in here and we can continue on with some connection. I mean, that's ideally if you can say that to someone so that they know. So it's not a mystery to them, and then they don't have to fill in the space or the the wait time, like you're removing of yourself. They don't have to fill in a story about what that means, because if you don't let them know, most people will dredge up a story around this person's being a bitch and they just left the room, and they're not understanding like you're actually doing it in service to get back into connection with them. So it's very helpful to state that you need some wait time and to explain that you'll be back.
Yeah, there's a lot of room for story in the quiet spaces.
Oh yes, lots of room. That's where we tend to default. I'm wondering if there's anything else that's a main takeaway. I mean, if you can play around, folks, just for the fun of it, play around with us with practicing empathy, because that's something that we just don't do very often. We respond with all of our usual ways of responding, but just playing around a little bit with the listening in and reflecting what you're hearing someone say and taking some needs guesses. That could just be a fun thing just to see how that goes. And it might be very awkward, or you might have noticed that people really enjoy being heard that way. It could be a nice little learning arena to play around with empathy. And for sure, if somebody says something that you don't like, if you're able to give them empathy in that moment, I mean, that's a big ask, because that's usually not what we're capable of doing. We're often too triggered to do that. But if you can, woo, that could probably really lay down some new tracks in your response process, right? Lay down some new tracks in your brain. If you're able to, in a moment of trigger or upset that somebody says something, turn around and reflect what they're saying and taking a needs guess and see, just to see what happens there. And you can't BS it though, folks. I just want to be real clear on that. Like, you can't just, oh, I'm just doing this just for the fun of it. Like, there really has to be some authenticity around caring with curiosity what is going on with this person or what they're
Yeah,
trying to
intention
say.
and presence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you need to have that. Otherwise, people will smell the BS, and you might not have the connection that could come from it. So, yeah, so those just are a few ideas. I mean, we could probably go on and on, but I think that's a lot to take in for our audience. And yeah, just know that this is an evolving process. We rarely get it 100% right 100% of the time. And a lot of the learning happens with coming up short. So just having some grace, that's a good thing to have this time of year, right? Some grace.
Grace.
Yeah, grace, but in particular, grace for yourself when you don't
Yeah.
get it 100% right.
Yeah.
Um,
You don't have to be linear or perfect with it. And I think, kind of like you alluded to, you don't have to be in the midst of conflict or emotional turmoil in order to practice your empathy skills.
no, not at all. You can just talking with your Aunt Sue. You could just reflect, take some needs guesses, and see how that goes, just for the fun of it, if you want to try that as well. And before we end, I guess I could put a plug in, because we do have gift certificates available if people are still trying to think of what they can give somebody for the holiday season. We have gift certificates that are available on our website for those that would like to give their loved ones the gift of NVC. You can get them an intro to NVC class. So there's that. Also, my book, which I don't talk about too much anymore, but you can find it on Amazon. It's called My Link to Mildred, and it's interrupting the epidemic of trauma via nonviolent communication. And again, that is found on Amazon. So there are two gift ideas for folks still looking for something that could be a game changer, I think.
Give the gift of NVC via the
Give the
Big
gift
Method.
of peace. Give the gift of peace, which is what we're here to talk about anyways. All right. Anything else?
I don't think so. If you want to call our Empathy Warm Line number, it's 850-706-0488.
Yeah, feel free to call in and wish us happy holidays. We'd love to hear from you guys. All right. Thank you for joining us.
You've been listening to It's All About Connection, NVC with Dr. B. For more episodes and guest bios, please visit us at www.thebigbmethod.com. That's www.thebigbmethod.com. And remember, empathy first,